Hey, this is Gary from 3Bug Media, and today we're going to talk about rehabbing and reusing old content on your website. And I'm specifically talking about your blog content. Now, a blog is a fantastic way to drive traffic to your website. It's a great SEO tool. I've been doing it for over 10 years. I have over 600 blog posts on my website, and I can tell you firsthand that it works fantastic. The thing is, creating content is hard. A typical 800-word blog post can take someone anywhere from 2 to 10 hours to create. So it kind of sucks when you've created that content and then after a couple weeks, Google doesn't pick it up in the search index. It doesn't rank high in Google, and basically you get zero traffic from it after your initial promotion. And the truth is that happens more times than not. Out of all my blog posts, I only have about 10% of them that drive any kind of real traffic to the website. 90% of those, which is like 500 of those blog posts, pretty much do nothing for the website. They're kind of sitting in an archive. People, can't even really find them on there. Google doesn't show it, so they don't get any love. So this video is going to show you what to do with some of that old content, because creating a new blog post can take several hours. But taking an existing piece of content you have on your website, rehabbing it, might only take you an hour, and you can get similar benefits from it, okay? So first thing I suggest is do an audit of your content. Go through all your blog posts, look at the ones that are more evergreen, the ones that can be reused, re-updated, that you see opportunities for. Some of them that are timely, like a new service that was launched and things like that, you won't be able to rehab. Those are probably just, they're dead and gone. You can just leave those. But there's probably a lot of blog posts where they're still relevant. Maybe the content's outdated, it needs a rehab, but it's still relevant in today's market. Okay, and those are the pieces of content that we're talking about today. So make a list of all of that content that has the potential to be reused again. Okay, once you have that content, what you want to do is you want to update it. You want to update the content, you want to make it longer and more detailed. Maybe that original content you did a number of years ago, and that's my case. A lot of my older content are shorter, 500 words. I don't have really, some of them I don't have pictures in them, images. I don't have a lot of stuff in there, so I can revisit that content. I can make it longer, maybe turn that 500-word blog post into a 700 or 800-word blog post. Maybe there's new information you've learned since then. Maybe there's new features and tips that you can add to it, or maybe there's just additional services and product ideas and things like that that you can add to that blog post to bring it current to today. Okay, you can also add images, quotes, statistics, video, embed a video in there, things like that. Make it more dynamic. Okay, so not only make it longer, but make it richer, right? Give some examples, make some statistics, quotes, things like that. People love that stuff, and it's additional content that you can add to that old blog post. Update the meta description and title. Maybe the original title was kind of boring, or maybe it wasn't on topic enough, or maybe it's outdated. Tweak the title a little bit, tweak the meta description. The meta description is not a ranking factor in Google for SEO purposes, but it is seen by people in the search results, and it's a determining factor if somebody's going to click on that or not. So review your meta description and your title and see if that needs to be updated. Okay, once you have this stuff, you can repost it. Okay, what I do is, once I've rehabbed it and I brought it up to date to today's standards and today's information, what I do is I change the date to today's date, and I repost it as if it's a brand new piece of content, and I market it that way. I market it the same way as if I created a new blog post from scratch, because the vast majority of people aren't going to know that this is an older piece of content that you rehab. They're going to look at it as a new piece of content. So everyone who subscribes to my blog, gets the RSS feed, things like that, are all going to get that as a fresh piece of content. The one thing you need to make sure is that you leave the URL intact. Okay, your URL is yourwebsite.com/ the name of the blog post. Do not change that, because if you change that, what's going to happen is Google's going to treat that updated URL as a brand new page on your website. So you're going to lose all of the links, any links that have been going to that page. You're going to lose your page authority, your citation authority. You're going to lose everything from that post. So whatever you do, make sure you leave the URL intact, because that is, especially if you have a blog post that is getting some traffic and it just needs a rehab, make sure you do not change the URL. Now, one thing some people do is, instead of updating the post to today's date and republishing it, what they'll do is they'll just put something at the top and says, this blog post was updated on blank blank date. So people land on it, they know it's been updated. Me personally, I like to just rehab it and publish it as new, because if it's updated, if it's relevant for today, I don't think anyone really cares if I wrote this blog post 2 years ago and I just fix it up and reposted it. But some people like to do that. But what I'm telling you is, doing all this stuff and republishing it with today's date like it's brand new does not change your SEO at all. All of your SEO juice lies in the URL. Okay, if you change that, that's what's going to cause you to lose your links, lose your page authority, things like that. You can change all this stuff and update it, and nothing's going to happen SEO wise. Hopefully what's going to happen is you'll get better rankings, because Google's going to crawl it again and see that it's a lot richer than it was originally, and maybe push you up the rankings a little bit, especially if you market it as a new piece of content. You give it new social shares, you promote it the way you would promote a new piece of content, but now you have the benefit of having a past history of links, past history of your page authority, things like that. So you have even a better chance of getting rankings for this older piece than you would for a brand new piece. Okay, now one thing, if your blog post, if your updates are substantially different, like it doesn't even resemble the old blog post, then what I do suggest maybe you do is just create a new blog post out of it instead of trying to rehab it. If it's too much, it's kind of like a house. If the renovations are too much, just knock it down and start over again. In that case, what I suggest is create a new blog post with the updated information. Do not delete your old blog post, because you still might be getting rankings and traffic for it. But at the top of that old blog post, make a note, say, this post is outdated, there's a new updated version here, and have a link to the new blog post. Okay, so hopefully this gave you some tips and ideas. A lot of us out there who've been blogging for a while probably have a lot of content that isn't doing anything for us. So instead of continually creating new content and spending hours and hours, rehab some of your old content, because you can get just as much mileage, and you might even have a better chance of ranking that content because it already has a history behind it. It might have some links and things like that. If you want to learn more, you can go to 3bugmedia.com. Thank you very much, and have a good day.